our boss an option to have for implementing new technologies. Like we're trying now. We're on the testing phase for single sign-on technology, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that single sign-on, it's one of those technologies to increase the security on your network. So we are pursuing that pretty aggressively, right? We're testing that. We also have
Okay, that's
a new
amazing.
ways to reduce the number of spam, and we have like a plate box on spam. So we monitor. Let me see. I can't remember the name of the system. Let me see if I can find it for you. And what it does is it isolates the emails from people, so they don't introduce viruses into the system. So that's some of that things that we're using also.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see if I can give you that. Just I'm looking for that
Sure.
link. I think it's called Proofpoint, but I can't remember for sure. I think it's Proofpoint. So Proofpoint, what it does is it isolates the user's email and analyzes what emails are bad, and it puts them in a sandbox, and it keeps them there. So, and then the user can go and check them out to see if they're good or bad, and they don't affect the rest of the network. So we are doing that as well. We are isolating. We're now in the process of isolating the Beam backups from the rest of the network. So we're gonna create a different network to isolate them. So in case that we get a virus such like that virus that asks you for money, I mean, it encrypts your entire system, and then it will ask you for ransom. So we are isolating that virus from entering the backup system also. So by us doing that, it renders that virus obsolete because it can affect your backups. So you get clean backups.
Yeah.
Right? So we're doing that also. And I mean, we're constantly looking for other technologies. I'm reviewing some software now just to get more. And that's why I got interested on data analysis, because I have seen some of the systems. It's called Tableau. Tableau is used to produce data analysis in a visual form that makes more sense to management. So I'm analyzing that to see if it's better than the business intelligence tools that we have.
Okay.
Or to see if we can leverage that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm playing with that. Another SSP, statistical tools, SSP. The tool I'm using something open system, open source called Gradle, to see if I can leverage some of that cheaper. I mean, if we can do the same things with no license, that would be better, right? We don't have to pay for that. So, and things like that we do on, and they are not part of the day-to-day operations, but they are part of when you have time to do and explore some of those things.
Yeah.
Instead of wasting your time, you just go on there and check, hey, can I leverage this? Hey, I found this, can we check it out? Does it make sense? I mean, half of those ideas, they never got to fruition, right? But some of them do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay. And so do you only evaluate these new technologies that the company is supposed to, that might help the company, or do you suggest some new technologies as well on your own that, okay, you could incorporate this and this could be helpful for the company?
Well, I explore and I suggest also, and sometimes even the same technology that we already had, like we were using Citrix for some other stuff, but we never used it directly for consolidating audios. We were using it for Amtech, but we were not using it for audios. And I said, why don't we use it for audios as well? And I said, well,
Mhm.
because Audio doesn't support it. Audio doesn't, they never use it anywhere else. I said, well, let's be the first ones. Let's try to do that, and it worked. I mean, we had some problems. We work out the problems, and it works. So that's
Okay.
something that we already have. We leverage to something else that we didn't have.
Okay, perfect.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. And then, so anything here from the data side of things, like, for example, you are right now, evaluating Tableau, and that will help with data visualization and analysis. So, other than that, any other particular initiative you have had in terms of data management, or improving the way data is handled?
Okay. So this is some project that I'm working on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a program. It's actually about 3 different separated modules in a program. It's made in
Mm-hmm.
Python. One portion is made in Python, right?
Okay.
And I go and I'm planning to put these modules of Python into every single forklift that we have. And they
Okay.
will report, those forklifts will report a heartbeat to a data center, to a database,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Yeah.
every certain time, let's see, every 3 minutes, they're just gonna say, I'm here. And they're gonna transmit, you know, how long it took to ping, who and what position they are, and where they're located, and that's going to be saved in a non-SQL database,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I
Yeah.
use another module in Python that is going to extract all that information and try to make sense of it to see if there's failures on the forklifts that are affecting the production. In other words, if some of those hiccups that they have on the Wi-Fi are really affecting their production or not, and that will
Oh.
help us to troubleshoot by areas to see on real time. Hey, if I get 5 alarms in 1 minute from one area, then I know that that portion of that network is down.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that on my own. I'm making that program on myself. I talked to my boss about it, and she's like, well, maybe something that could work, but don't waste too much time on it. But if you're doing it just for
Uh-huh.
fun, go ahead and do it. So I'm doing it
Yeah.
for fun, but it's one of those things that later on they jump into production, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they like it, or somebody else is
Okay.
looking at that,
Yeah, true.
right?
Okay,
So
great.
I'm just creating new tools for us
Yeah.
to troubleshoot problems.
Okay, perfect. And so, anything else, any other initiative from this particular role of yours?
Any other stuff that I'm working on like that?
Yeah.
Um, no, just besides of the things that I told you about, the programs that
Mhm.
I'm testing, and see how
Mhm.
how can we apply some statistics to it, just to get better answers. No,
Yeah.
just I don't have that much time left for for playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So then, Liz, anything else from this particular role of yours that you think we haven't discussed so far, or something that could be worth mentioning for the resume?
No, except for the fact that when I was a chief information officer, I was doing a lot of the day-to-day operations that a chief information officer does, right? The
Yeah.
budgeting, the managing of vendors, project management, follow-ups, all those things that go into administration.
Hmm.
I'm more operational now than I was, and I'm
Uh-huh.
less management. But before I was 90% management, less operation, right? 10%
Yeah.
operation. So
Hmm.
so that's why I said that for me it was a positive change, but it's time to go and leverage it somewhere else,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So shall we start discussing your experience of the Chief Information Officer at Harbor Packaging then?
Sure. I mean, we can do that if you want to.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And so for that one, I wanted to know that, you started off with that company in 1997. So this must have involved, a series of promotions for you to reach the CIO level. And so can we, just mention or can you tell me about some of the positions you held prior to being the
Well,
Chief Information Officer? Yeah.
yeah, I started as a IT administrator,
Oh, mhm.
and that company grew. I mean, they didn't have anybody with technology knowledge enough uh, to execute the power of it and get some positive results. So they had Unix systems. They didn't have file servers. They didn't have anything. So
Mhm.
I created all that infrastructure for them, right? I unified all their systems. I created hybrid systems in between Windows and Unix that they had. I created networks that they didn't have. I joined two places that they were disjoined,
Uh-huh.
sharing information, sharing data, sharing phone systems, which they pay a ton of money back then on long distance charges, and I eliminated all of that. Um, they didn't have
Mhm.
internet, so
Oh.
I created their domains. I created their email servers. The whole the whole infrastructure to support that, all the internet operations that they later used. Um, I actually they didn't have a structure in cable. I did more than one project with them, factories from the zero level to the turnkey operation. I mean, even the factory that we are on now, which is 135,000 feet, square feet.
Mhm.
I did it from scratch. There was nothing there. There was nothing on the ground. They started to build it, and I started to lay down my cables and to hire people to help me out with that stuff and direct the project and put fiber optics on it, switches, the systems room, everything. I I uh, I did a lot of physical work on it. I did a lot
Yeah.
of planning, and I did a lot of supervision of vendors, and I did a lot of supervision of workers too.
Yeah.
So to get everything running from start. So little by little, we grew from one company to two companies, and then to three companies, and then they moved to different geographical points, and they closed one, open a new one bigger, and they closed that one and open another one larger. Every time they went bigger.
Yeah.
So so all those times for me, they were projects from the ground up. They just told me, hey, we're gonna move to this place in 6 months, and everything has to be working. So I took
Yeah.
care of everything. I took care of all the installations. I took care of all the vendors, all the contracts, with telecommunications company, installations from telecommunications companies to go there, to give us the services. I I put all that into place, and in one weekend we moved from one company to the next. I organized
Mhm.
all the moves and everything and the testing. In 3 days, we had everything working. No, not once, like 3 or 4 times into different companies. So
Uh-huh.
I did a lot of that project management and everything on it, and we never went down, ever.
Yeah. Amazing.
So yeah, that was a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. So starting as an IT administrator, so then like how did your career trajectory move upwards towards the CIO?
Well, at one point in time, I had 3 or 4 people working for me, and I started to see that there were open opportunities somewhere else, and I was gonna move to director of IT somewhere else, and they didn't want me to go. So I told him, hey, now all the things that I'm doing, and I lay him down. I put all the responsibilities and everything that I had, all the things that I did. I talked to my boss. He was the president of the company, and we went one by one, and all the tasks that I used to do every day to day, handling the budget, budgeting for this, vendor control, statistics, disaster recovery, all those things that I did, that they were my responsibility. And and I said, I'm already an IT director, so
yeah,
I'm looking more into the role of chief information officer. And he said, well, we're gonna create that role for you, and you're just gonna stay here. So
that's
they
amazing.
didn't let me
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so you were there with the company throughout, the time when they were growing from the ground up, I would say. And
Oh yeah.
so you led several projects, and there were projects across geographical boundaries as well. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
tell me something more about your projects, because I would really like to build on them, because this shows that you can help the company grow from almost nothing to something huge. You can stay with the company, and yeah.
So we went from $12 million in sales to $80 million in sales. When I started, they were less than $12 million in sales yearly.
Uh-huh.
So they went to $80 million in sales yearly. So